What's up, guys? It's Coach Vassar. Thank you for joining me with the OTF Audio Daily Beats. As always, if you are new to them, appreciate you being here. If you find value in them, information is in description to support me. If you don't find value in them, let me know. Give me that feedback. That way I can make adjustments to get the most out of it for you guys. This is going to be Monday, December 16th. This is a workout that will not repeat later in the month. We're going to see endurance on the treads, power on the rower and the weight floor. We'll talk about the key concepts, break down the treads, break down the rower and weight floor, and also talk about the 3G. So as far as key concepts go today on the treads, 23.5 minutes surge and return. Your goal is to return back to your base as the surge gets shorter and faster. For the rower, all-out row distance challenge today. Every time you go all out, can you stay within 20 meters of your previous distance? And then on the floor, one block featuring explosive exercises that work one side of the body at a time. The star of today's show, the single arm snatch, single arm thruster with rotation. You will need benches out for the class setup on the weight floor, so be aware of that. When we look at the treads, 23.5 minute tread block, we're gonna see a total of 3 rounds and a bonus round. A majority of time is spent with base. So the format of each round is a 2-minute base, surge, 2-minute base, and surge. Now the surge ranges are recommendations, so something just to be aware of. This is not a true base and push. It's more about steady state. So minimal changes, so gentle waves up and down, ebb and flow, whatever kind of verbiage that will connect with your members of the intention behind this. So the other thing is, another way to kind of look at it is like cruise control on the highway, and then you're speeding up a little bit to pass that person and then coming back to where you were initially at. So today's all about the base. So can they maintain base no matter what, and then bump up a little bit and pull back? So the first round, we have the smallest increase recommended. So for the 2-minute speed surge, add 0.1 to 0.3, power walkers included. And then they'll have a 2-minute base right afterwards, and then they repeat that 0.1 to 0.3 increase added on. Now for the bikes and striders, they don't have a true call out for this in the daily beat. So personally use discretion on what would make sense for your members who use those. Whether that is an increase to RPM or maybe add 1 to 2 gears, if that, for the longer, less intense surge. Now, as the surges get shorter in round 2, can they maintain that surge increase, or could they have a bigger increase with a different recommendation of range? So in round 2, 2-minute base, 90-second speed surge twice. Recommendation is 0.3 to 0.5 added onto their speed and then come back. Once again, if they're not comfortable going to that, add something rather than nothing. Or if they just need to hold their base, hold their base. And then for the third round, the speed surge is now 1 minute. Recommendation is 0.5 to 0.7 added on and then come back to their base. They'll do that twice, of course, and then the bonus from that 2-minute flat road base, they go into a 30-second all out. Main thing here is with these small increases above base, it's steady state versus high and low intensity efforts. And then the goal to increase surge speed is a recommendation. So if members need to stay at the previous range, keep them there. That's totally okay. Because the main thing is we don't want to sacrifice base today. Now, when we look at the weight floor and the rowers, we're going to see 2 blocks over there. Block 1 is going to be a 15-minute block specifically and only on the weight floor. We're going to have a unilateral anchor. So the non-anchor movements will be a single arm low row with the bench, high plank, single arm low row. And then they'll have the single arm half kneeling to full lateral step up. And then the dumbbell high to low wood chop. Okay, the anchor for the first round is that single arm snatch. So plank, single arm, low row, snatch, half kneel, lateral step up, snatch, high, low chop, snatch. That completes round 1. Round 2, they go back to their bench, high plank, single arm, low row. Now they have that single arm neutral grip thruster with rotation. Couple things for this one, obviously with that bench plank, low row, pretty tough on the shoulders. One thing that I notice is from that side view, perfect world, members should be stacked right over the bench. So rather than have the arm out here as they're doing the row, try to get them to stack over the bench so it's a little bit safer on the joint. Option for that one, they could work on the plank mechanics by doing a single arm low row from the straps. So that way they're not twisting and turning as they do that one arm row from the TRX. Then they have the half kneel to a full lateral step up. A couple options here. Instead of the half kneeling position, you could have members do like a reverse lunge, so they do decrease range of motion. The other one is they could take that kneel or the lunge out. They could do a step up to knee raise. That way they're still getting some hip flexion work by picking up that knee. And then for the third movement, you have the high to low chop. This is one that they could do as like a reverse lunge torso rotation. That way they are still getting that rotational work, but a little bit of lower body mixed into it that maybe they took out from that half kneel to wood chop or half kneel to lateral step up. Now for the single arm snatch, obviously, mechanically speaking, very difficult exercise to do right. If members struggle with this one or if safety is a concern, the option that the template talks about is a single arm squat to an upright row. You could do them as a squat. Me personally, I prefer more of a hinge mechanic because that translates better. So you could do like a single arm deadlift into that upright row. When we get into the second round, they're going to see that single arm neutral grip thruster with rotation. So whichever side the weight is on, they're going to turn the opposite as they punch up from the bottom of the squat. In the video, as long as it's the same video that I'm thinking of, you'll see that video. When they rotate, they punch the weight kind of out rather than stacked over. So be mindful of that, make an emphasis of, bicep by the ear. As they drop down and they come up, weight goes up rather than out, just for safety. Great option for that one is take the rotation out. Just do that single arm thruster or a push press. About 15 minutes here, and then they have a 2-minute transition. They will need to take a dumbbell with them, just one, over to the rower, and they're gonna do a single arm high pull, 6 on each side, and then they'll do a 30-second all-out row. Now on the template, it just says single arm high pull. It's not the high pull with power, so we'll see what the VVA has. If it is just the high pull, it's just the one arm up and back down, but once you get up, you wanna pull the shoulder back a little bit so the elbow tracks back with it. If it is that high pull with power, of course, that's gonna be like with that hinge and then the swing motion. So obviously check the VVA before you swipe over, just that way you are prepared. And then for the row, it's a 30-second all-out row. The first row is the best one since the goal is to stay within it. So emphasize explosiveness, max effort row, somewhere between 100 to 200, personally, usually about 150 to 180 plus. Rest, and then they repeat. When they get on that row again, and they stay within 20 meters, they'll most likely get through 2 full rounds and then maybe do a third set of the dumbbell exercise, and then they'll finish the row with a 30-second all-out timed with the treads. So their third round, that row actually might be their finisher. And that's the 2G. When we look at the 3G side, treads and weight floor, we're gonna have just one long block. The rowers are gonna have 2 separate blocks. Now, when we look at the treads, it's no repeating. So they'll have the 2-minute base, surge, new round. And the new round will have a shorter speed surge. 14.5 minutes here, we'll have 4 rounds and then a bonus sequence. Round 1, 2, and 3 are the same surges as the 2G. So round 1, you have a 2-minute surge. Round 2 is a 90-second surge. Round 3, 1-minute surge. Round 4, this is a new surge. It's a 2-minute base and then a 30-second increase. Recommendations 0.7 to 0.9 above their base. Same thing as a 2G. Those are just recommendations. If their surges they did before was plenty of work, have them repeat that. And then the bonus round, 1-minute base, 30-second all out. Now for the rowers, block 1, 7.5 minutes. This is a minute longer of the 2G row block. So dumbbell high pull and then the 30-second all out row. So yes, they do need to grab dumbbells for that one. They'll have that for 2-3 rounds, kind of similar to the 2G. When the treads start round 3, when they start that 2-minute base, that's when the rowers are going to shut down. Then you have 1 minute to get the rower set up for block 2. Now, obviously, if you go over that 1-minute mark, it's fine because the 2G, the treads, they're in a 2-minute base. So if that 1-minute setup takes longer, you're not crunched for time. Since you have 2 minutes before the treads have their next surge. But ideally, you get through it pretty quick. That way the rowers can maximize the time remaining to get at least the 6 minutes for block 2, if not more. Block 2 is going to be same idea of a dumbbell exercise paired up with a row. Dumbbell exercise is an overhead tricep extension, so just one dumbbell all the way down, all the way up. Emphasize light to moderate weight, really try to get range of motion, get those elbows to bend more than 90 degrees. We don't want them to stop here. That's gonna put a lot of stress on the tendon, and that's what usually causes like tennis elbow. So go a little bit lighter, try to get the dumbbell to kiss between the shoulder blades and then extend all the way up. And that's gonna be paired up with a 150-meter all-out row, around 40 seconds or less. With this being a shorter block, they'll probably just get 2 rounds, and then they'll get ready for a 30-second all-out row, timed up with the treads when they do their finisher. Weight floor, 1 minute, 30 seconds shorter than the 2G block, so that 15-minute block is now just 14.5 minutes. Other than that, it's exactly the same, so bench, high plank, low row, and then the kneel to lateral step up, high to low wood chop. You have the single arm snatch for the first anchor, thruster for the second anchor. The finisher though is a alternating single arm snatch. So for safety reasons, obviously emphasize have them switch their hands when the dumbbell's on the floor. That way they're not letting go of the weight and it's flying everywhere. That's it though, nice and simple for the 3G. 2G, really set them up for success by remembering it's all about that base. Can they sustain that and have those small waves of intensity rather than big jumps between high and low? Any feedback, let me know. Otherwise, coach it down.